This CARS tutorial will be talking about invoicing an actual cost contract. When the basis of payment is actual cost, you will be entering in direct labor by employee, by activity, and by month. You will then take the combined overhead/indirect costs and also enter that in by month. You'll also enter in direct costs, the fixed fee percent, check for sub-consultant invoices, upload a PDF if necessary, and then submit your invoice to WISDOT. Make sure that the WISDOT PM has been trained in CARS before you submit an invoice, and then notify them via email that you are submitting an invoice. If you have any questions regarding invoicing, please contact Randy Kanaki. His contact information can be found below. In this instance, I am Mario Peppolini, and I work for Betamax, and I'm going to invoice an actual cost contract. I'm going to click this Go to Bottom link, and I'll see that I have the information below that says the actual cost is the basis of payment. So that's how I know that's how I'm invoicing. So let's go create that invoice. Click this button at the top here that says Create Invoice. And at the top we've got some basic information that's from the contract, like the consultant name, project ID, etc. What I need to do is fill out this information below. So I come to this first question, it says final invoice, yes or no. I'll say no. Then I've got the consultant invoice number. And this is from my own system, so I'm just going to call it B1000. Obviously yours will be different. Start date, so time period covered by the invoice. Let's stretch it between 2 months. We'll say October 15 to November 12. We'll put in a name. We'll put in my name. A phone number. And an email address. And this email address is the one that is contacted whenever the invoice has been rejected or if it's been paid. So it's important to have that email address correct. And I'll click Save. After I've clicked Saved, I get to this screen. If any of this information up here changes, I can always edit it. But right now it's fine. You can see this is an actual cost contract, and we have the actual costs here. Right now you can see that the maximum amount of actual cost is $62,097.80. You can invoice for more than that $62,000, but you won't get paid more than this maximum amount. Same goes for the fixed fee. This is agreed amount for the fixed fee. You won't get paid for more than the $16,487.55. So right now let's create that invoice. You click on the Edit button here. And we get this message that says this is the first invoice in CARS for this contract project. Were there prior invoices for this contract project? We're going to click Yes. What we need to do is to be able to figure out what's been invoiced in paper. So if we've been paying you for this invoice for the previous couple months and now we're starting to use CARS, we need to have a mechanism to be able to get things back on track once we move into CARS. So we'll say the previously invoiced amount, including the fixed fee, is $1,000. And then how much of that that's been paid was the fixed fee? We'll say $250. So this is just a way to make sure that we don't pay you for work that has already been done and that has been paid for. We click Save, and we see that information up above here. We can always edit it if we'd like to. But right now we're going to add direct labor. And we've got 2 employees that worked on the project. One, his name is Jim Kelly. And I'll enter that information in. Employee number is optional. I won't put it in this invoice. He's a manager. The hours type is going to be hours worked or premium pay. Most everyone will be selecting hours worked. And then the hours will say 80. And the activity, we have all these various activities here. In this instance, I'm just going to select 9999, which is undefined. The calendar month of labor is October of 2014. The indirect cost rate type is going to be home office, and the labor cost will be $2,500. And I'll click Save. So that is Jim Kelly's work for the month of October 2014. If there are any issues, we can always edit it here, or we could just delete the whole line if we click that button right there. But let's add in another employee. Let's add in Jenny Jones. She worked in the month of November. And she worked 80 hours. Activity, just type in 9, it gets me to undefined. The month of labor, we'll say November of 2014. Indirect cost rate, we'll say home office, labor cost 2,500, and click save. We'll add in another line because Jim Kelly has worked the month of November, so we need to add in that direct labor for the month of November. So we'll type in his information. Indirect cost rate type, it's going to be home office, and he worked half as many hours, so 1,250. We'll click save. So now we just have the direct labor for these, say these two people, but we have it for 2 different months, so we need to add in the indirect cost, which will include the overhead. So I'll click add indirect cost, and we'll say $2,500, and this is going to say labor overhead for October, and you can put this description however you'd like to. So this is for the month of October 2014, and this is the home office indirect cost rate type. So that takes care of Jim Kelly's overhead, but we need to add in the overhead for the month of November. So I'll click that add indirect costs again to be able to put in $3,750, say labor overhead for November. And that's going to be home office. I'm going to just show you what happened here. The reason why we have you enter these in every month on a month-by-month basis is because this home office or whatever indirect cost rate type it can change. In this instance, you can see that for the month of October, the home office rate was 119%. So 2,500 times 119% gets me this indirect cost. But for the month of November, it was this amount times this rate, which gives me this indirect cost here. Randy Kanaki's group, they are the ones that are keeping track of these indirect cost rate types and these rates. So this automatically happens in cars when you have this home office or field office or whatever it is. We have this rate built in. If you have any questions about that, you can please contact Randy. These are updated all the time. Another thing to say about this is that this is an enhancement that we want to build into cars, but for now you need to enter in this overhead. What we want to do in the future is to be able to have you enter in the labor and then have this automatically populated. But for right now, this is how it's going to work. Next up, we have the direct costs. I'll click this add direct cost. We have these categories, and these are all categories that are in our system. So if you don't see one that you generally use, please let us know. In this instance, I'm going to say I got a direct cost category of lodging. I'll just give it a description of hotel stay. Paid to type, we have internal allocation or payment. I'm going to help differentiate between those two. Let's go to the manual. So these are the direct costs. Select a payment recipient type in the paid to type field. Select internal allocation for project-related costs incurred by your firm, such as equipment or supplies. Select payment for amounts paid to business service providers, such as analytical services or travel expenses. So that's the difference between internal allocation and payment. So in this instance, I'm going to select payment. And let's just say we're going to pay the Ramada because we stayed there for 5 nights, 5 units, at $70 per, and a unit description, let's say nights. And the month this occurred is October. of 2014. This indirect cost rate type, if this applies, you can select it, but in this instance, the indirect cost rate type does not apply, so I'll just leave it at none. I'll click on this calculate button, and it does the math for me. 5 times 70 equals 350. I'll click save. We go on down. The last little bit that we need to look at is the fixed fee. And this is basically going to take the percent complete times the fixed fee amount. To determine how much fixed fee percent complete we are, we need to go to the manual just to look at the equation. You see the equation here is total direct labor invoiced plus total overhead invoiced divided by total estimated contract direct labor plus total estimated contract overhead times 100%. So once you do that equation, you'll know the percent complete that you are done. In this instance, I'm just going to put a number in just to show you how it works. So we're going to say 41% times 16,487.55 and click Save Fixed Fee. We'll go down to the very bottom and see that this percent times this fixed fee amount equals $6,759.90. So that's what we will be getting paid on the fixed fee. So that's it. That is an invoice. Let's go back. We'll go down to the bottom. We'll see these are the costs incurred, this invoice, minus the previously paid amount. So we have a total amount due of actual costs of $14,262.50. The fixed fee, this is what's been earned to date. We've been paid $250 so far. So we have a total fixed fee due of $6,509.90. So a grand total due of $20,772. I'm going to go down and I see I've got sub-consultant invoices. I do have a firm called C+, that is also on this project. I'm going to see if they put any invoices up to me so I can review them and accept and include them. And I see that nothing found a display. So all that means is my sub-consultant has not sent an invoice to me, so I cannot include it on my invoice that I'll be sending to WISDOT. So I click back, and now I'm back to the screen where I'll be able to submit the invoice. So I've got the summary information below, which is basically the summary of this particular contract. I do want to upload some documents here. So I'll click Upload Documents, and I'll browse for a PDF that I'll be able to upload into CARS, this invoice. So this is just a progress report, and I'll just give it a description name and upload that. And now that becomes a part of this invoices record. And you can see that this document has been uploaded successfully. We'll now click back, and we have everything we need to submit this invoice. The status is still draft, so what we need to do is to be able to submit this invoice to WISDOT. You can see this PDF that we uploaded is here in the Upload Documents area, so we can always get to that. But for now, let's just click Submit Invoice. And we see the status has been changed to Submitted. And now the WISDOT Project Manager has the ability to review this invoice. They have the ability to adjust it, they have the ability to reject it, and they also have the ability to approve it.